Yes, Midi input has arrived here in GarageBand on the iPad and the iPhone. So in this video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite uses of Midi, which is Midi drum loops. That's right, we're going to download, import, and use a Midi drum loop in a project here in GarageBand iOS. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live Today, where I help you create, record, and release your best music. And over the last couple of videos, we've been looking at the new update to GarageBand here in iOS, which is version 2.3.6 in iOS 12. And one of the cool new features is the ability to import Midi files. So Midi files are patterns where you can determine the notes and the velocity, and then you can actually now import those from any other application or just download them from the web, which is what we're going to be doing in this video, and then actually bring them into your project, then combine those with all of your other sounds, your loops, whatever you want to put in your GarageBand project. So let's now dive in to the phone and take a look at Midi drum loops here in GarageBand. Okay, we are back here in GarageBand. Now, in the previous video, I showed you how we could import a Midi file, which was a multi-track Midi file. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we can import a Midi drum loop. So what we're going to do, first of all, is go out of GarageBand. We're going to go into Safari. And here I am at midiworld.com, which is another good resource for downloading free Midi files. Now, because this isn't mobile optimized, we're going to have to scroll all the way to the bottom here to go to the search, and let's just search for drum, shall we? Be very generic and just find a drum loop of some sort to put into our project. So here's our results, and here we go, drum loop Kona. No idea what this is going to do, but we're going to download it. Now we've got out to our download screen here. We're going to tap on more, and then we're going to save to files, and we'll pop it right here on my iPhone, GarageBand, and GarageBand file transfer. Let's hit add, and we'll add that file. Okay, that is done. We need to now go and switch back to GarageBand. You can see a little blue 1 next to our loop icon in the top right corner. We're going to tap on the loop icon, and there is our Kona drum loop. Now this time we're going to tap and hold and drag across. You can see here we've got the loop there. It doesn't know how long it is, and it doesn't know how many tracks it is until we release. And it works out it is just one track in this example, and it's put it to a drum kit. So it's done the right thing there, and there is our drum loop ready for us to play. Let's check it out. Very cool. So it's actually only 1 bar of a loop here. So in order to create an 8-bar loop out of this, what we'll need to do is trim it back down here to 1 bar, then tap and go to settings, and then we're going to put on looping. And now we've got 8 bars of this drum loop. Very cool indeed. Now, from here, what we can actually do is we can edit this loop. So we can tap here, tap again, and go to edit. And I've got a whole video series about editing, including editing Midi notes. So you can check that out in the link above or below if you want to learn more about editing Midi. But with drums in particular, you can see over here on the left, oh, I've just tapped them. Over here on the left, you can see instead of having our notes that we would for our normal Midi tracks, we've actually got our drums. So we can see here that our bass drum or our kick drum is in these patterns here, and we can adjust these. We could come in here, we could adjust the velocity of these, or we could shorten them. Not really going to matter for a kick drum, it's still going to be the same sort of sample, and then we can actually make that whatever we want. We can remove, delete, move, whatever we want to. We can then come down here to our cymbals. We've got our hi-hats here. You can see here that these are kind of overlapping, just the way that it's imported those Midi notes, but won't really cause any trouble there. The same here with these ones. We've got, again, a different type of hi-hat. So it's using sort of an open as well as a closed hi-hat. And then right here at the end, it's using that sort of very, very open hi-hat. So the beauty part about this is that not only do we sort of have, you know, kick, snare, tom, cymbal, you've got the different states of all of those. As we come further down here, we've got some sort of big floor toms that are being used there. And then at the end here, we've got different type of sort of snare hit. That's the, what am I saying, rim shot sort of on the side there, and then our actual snare down the bottom here. And all together it sounds like this. And of course, if we didn't like it, we could check some things out. So let's just sort of remove this here. And if we didn't like this whole bit at the end, we wanted it to be a little bit more simple, we could do this. So there you go. So that's sort of the basics of editing. So we can now come back here and there is our drum. The other thing we can do is we can actually change the drum kit that we're actually using here. So we can tap in there, tap in the top here, and this SoCal kit. Let's make it one of my favorites, the Live Rock kit, and take a listen to the difference. Well, that's interesting. So we've learned something new here, that because our different kits have different drums in different places, we're going to get some slightly varied sounds here because it's not going to line up our kit pieces. Yeah, okay. So because these don't sort of follow the standard pattern here for a lot of these drum kits, you will find some variation there. So I'll leave it with this retro rock kit because I kind of like that feel. So that's cool. But yeah, when we come back here into the MIDI and we go and we edit, you'll see that, yeah, the layout of each kit is not identical. So not all kits have all different types of pieces. And what it's going to do is it's going to throw that particular note onto potentially a different kit piece. So you may get some variety, which may be a good thing, or you may think it's a bad thing. Anyway, let's add some other sounds to this just to sort of show the flexibility of what we can now do. So if we come in here to our loops, and we go back to Apple loops, I was playing with, yeah, these Dreaming Synth plucks or chords. Let's just tap on one of these. Yeah, let's use the chords. So we'll tap and we'll drag that in here, and let's play this back as it is. Cool. So you can see we can add, we can add these MIDI loops here to our existing Apple loops. We can add our drum loop, and then we've got these existing Apple loop MIDI sounds, and explore those in more detail in the other video as well. And then of course we could come in here and add in our own sounds. So what have we got on here? Let's just go to this keyboard sound and see what we're using. Yeah, let's use a 70s synth ARP here. So it's an arpeggiated sound. Pretty cool. Yeah, let's just try and record a little piece with this just to show you the power of putting in a drum loop here and then adding to it. Okay, the end bit didn't sound particularly good there, but you get the drift here. We can create a cool little groove, a little beat there just from a few tracks in here. And the good thing is that this loop here came from a completely different website, completely outside of GarageBand, something that we just grabbed and threw in here. Now be careful with copyright. Obviously, you don't want to be downloading and using things that are not free or that have copyright attached to them. So if you're using like a whole loop that someone has actually put on a paid site and you're not paying for it, then don't do that. Make sure that you're actually buying the loops if they are to purchase, or if they are free and they're free to use for your own use like this one here, then you'll be all fine. But just keep that in mind when you're adding in your loops. So there you go, drum loops here in GarageBand. Another very cool use of this new MIDI import feature that we have in GarageBand. And there you go. Hopefully you can already see how powerful and flexible being able to import MIDI files, whether they're drum loops or any other sort of MIDI files, into your projects is going to be. As I mentioned, we've got those other videos where you can check out my full review or my first look at the new version of GarageBand and how to import a multi-track MIDI file of a whole bunch of different instruments into GarageBand. Those will be linked in the description and up the top there as well. Thanks again for watching. If you've got comments, questions or suggestions, you can leave those in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for sticking around. We've got 2 more videos that you can check out in the 2 links down below. You can also subscribe to the channel by clicking on the Studio Live Today icon in the top right corner, or head on over to studiolivetoday.com for more audio goodness.